Hey, and welcome to this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast. Coming up in this episode, bans on after-hours work calls and emails could bring trouble, AI grandma by scammers, and walk faster with AI robot shoes. And make sure to stick around until the end for our AI-generated weekly themed outro song.
Welcome to the Not Null Podcast. I'm just an AI voice, but here are your real hosts, Kevin Doyle, Sarah Kimmel, and Bobby Davis.
All right, so I'm in management, and I am, expected to be available after hours because our help desk is open longer than an 8-hour workday. So if something goes wrong with the agents, I should probably be available to take those calls. There are some laws that are being proposed here in the US and implemented out in EU and other places that bans after hours work communications. So this article is just talking about how one company is getting fined 60,000 euros for...
What a surprise. There's a fine attached to this from the EU. What a shock.
Right, right. And who has to pay that fine? I mean, not pay the fine.
The company.
I know the company. I'm sorry. I meant who receives that fine? Like the person that has to respond to the email, do they get any cut of that? Because that would be a great use of those funds. No, of course it's going to the government where they just like to fine everybody, right? So apparently the U.S. economy nearly $2 trillion in lost productivity every year if we implement this. Do you guys think that is kind of an accurate number? What do you guys feel about after hours communication? Like I said, our help desk was available for 12 hours a day, right? 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm in charge of the whole thing. So I'm salary. I don't have a set schedule. I used to say I always work and I never work because it was always the same. I am always available. And yet, if we look at I'm not working a full 8-hour shift, because it's open 7 days a week. But should that be something that people expect? Will it have to change hours? There's so many things that I'm wondering about. Yeah.
You can go first.
I've stumped everybody.
Right, so me and Kevin have a complicated relationship. Kevin works for me at this thing. So I can tell you what I do. I don't, number one, we roll teams out. So I don't keep up with people's personal phones or emails. I'll contact them if I contact them. Also, almost exclusively through Teams chat, pretty much. Yeah. Sometimes I do call on things. I only call people during business work, during the hours at work. But every now and then, I probably will chat someone and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. Don't worry about it till Monday. And I was reading this article, and apparently that causes stress for people, that now they're worried about it and think they have to do it right away. I will say this. I don't, and I say this in all, I don't think I stress Kevin out when I text him. I think he just may read it and says, I'll get to it on my day. It's no big deal to him. But I can see where other people may worry about it, or they're thinking that I have an ulterior motive by sending it out on Saturday or something.
Right.
So it's something to think about if you're managing people. It's something to think about. I will say this: I don't think it needs to be mandated at 5 p.m. That's just a ridiculous out of that a number time that you just pulled out. I mean, when is the business closed? When is it open? I would say this for owners of businesses: if you treat your employees bad, they'll quit. And if you want them to stay, don't treat them bad. And so but sometimes, especially in coding world, there's just some things that are unavoidable. Hey, this thing's broken. What do we do?
Right.
In some professions, it's just the way it is. But I think for the most part, what I try to do is keep it on the level of the 8-hour day that we're working on, Yeah. Pretty much. That's what I try to do. Kevin, what do you think? Am I wrong? Am I bad? Or
No, you're totally right. I will say though, I've worked both sides of this. I worked in the UK for a few years, and I've worked in the US for a few years. So here's a comparison that I will make just in general on kind of not necessarily work ethic, but work expectations. Is that in Europe and in the UK, when I was there, I worked, I think it was a 37.5-hour work week. When I started my job, I got 5 weeks vacation. Like the benefits were like, in terms of that kind of stuff, work-life balance in Europe is like way, they put a lot more emphasis on the life part than the work part. In the US, it's very much the work part. Mine isn't bad where I am, but I'm saying like there are people that work at like McDonald's or whatever. They get no paid leave, or certain restaurants. I'm not like McDonald's, but they get no paid leave. They get no, like, it's like on the clock, and it's like very, very, very regimented. And lots of other places around the world, it's not like that. So I can understand why in America they want to bring in something like this, because it does have that, like, I don't know, that mentality that it is all about the work here. Whereas in, I will say, other, especially European countries, it's the other way around. So I can see why they want to introduce something like that. Will it ever catch on? Will it ever happen? No, never. This country is way, way too far into capitalism for that to happen. Yeah. Not going to happen.
For me, I would never reach out to any of my hourly employees when they were not scheduled to work. So, like, if I have a question for one of my employees that is an hourly employee, I will not reach out until, like, it's their schedule. And so, like, I'll schedule a Slack message or, a text or whatever to go when they are going to be in. Because
I think it's because that's, like, the right thing to do, right? Yeah. It's just, like, that just seems like human nature just tells you, like, that's the way to handle it. But without it being mandated and being a law, there are obviously people out there who don't think that way, who are just like, and you see these stories all the time. I see them on Reddit that was just like, I got fired today because I was on my day off, my manager called and I had to go in. So I got fired. It's like, whoa, how, really? Yeah. Like that's, and you see these stories and I'm like, that seems nuts.
Yeah.
That's not the right thing to do. But because it's not mandated, people feel like they can do that.
Yeah.
And that just seems wrong. So I get some of this, but it's never going to happen. It'll get like tested in California or something, and maybe it'll take on there because that's where all these like
weird
employee things happen, right? Like it just is.
Yeah.
And then it'll never go anywhere else.
So I think the problem is what do you do? So 5 p.m. is like an arbitrary time. Like, yes, some jobs end at 5, but some don't.
Right.
So like that's just a weird. I don't know if the government can ever regulate this. I think the market figures this out. If you're highly compensated and you're really good at your job, you always have choices.
Yeah.
And when you have choices, your boss knows that. And like, or if you're highly valued with a company, the boss knows that too.
Yeah.
I would never just demand that we do something on Saturday unless like something was just completely on fire.
Right.
And if something's completely on fire, it's kind of on me anyway. Like, it's like, I'm the one that screwed this up.
It depends though. I wouldn't say that's always the case. Things can come along that just things can happen. I think that's probably true. Yeah.
And if you do have something like a release of a piece of software, everyone knows about that ahead of time. Say, this weekend we're going to have to work or something. And then you compensate them on the back end of that somehow, some way. But if you run your company and it's just like everything's a fire and you just manage minute to minute and you're always calling your people, there's a reason it's that way. So, it's mainly you more than them.
I think the reason we're talking about this is because there's probably a few bad actors. That's what it is. There's a few bad apples that are like, that have caused people to complain about this, that are like, but it's probably not the majority is my guess.
And I do think if you're on Twitter and you see stories like this, you'll get more stories like this fed to you in the algorithm, and it'll give you this kind of sense of like all companies do this and they're all bad. I do say early in the 90s, probably coding in different projects when I was not running my own thing, and being a highly productive programmer, I did work long hours all the time. I mean, like all the time. And thinking back, and I don't know if it was me or if it was the company, if it was like both. Was I having fun doing it? Kind of. I mean, like, so like, I liked programming. I thought it was cool, but like, would I change it if I go back? I don't know. I mean, like maybe not. I think now if you have options and you have a company that takes advantage of you, you just kind of look for another opportunity. You can do that in the US,
right?
But some people don't have that option. Like if you're a customer service rep or something like that, like a low level rep, that's the only job you can get. You kind of
got to do whatever it takes to keep it.
Yeah.
Right? Which feels like the way, and that is like the American work way that you see. And that just feels weird. But maybe that's what this addresses. Maybe it's not for most people. Maybe it's for certain industries or something that this works better for. I don't know. I don't see it ever being like a.
We already have overtime laws too. We already have overtime laws. So like, you get time and a half if you're hourly paid. Now, if you're on salary, you don't. But usually if you're working 90 hours a week on a salary, you're asking for a raise or you're looking for somewhere else. Usually if you're working 90 hours, you're kind of valuable to the company at that point.
Yeah. And something's wrong at the company too.
Right,
Something's
right.
wrong.
There should be two of you.
Yeah. Right. And then a lot of people say they work 80 hours a week and you really, if you sit there and do the math, you're like, really 80 hours? Really? Okay. You're after 16 hours per day.
Yeah.
It's like, you're just sleeping and working, and I don't know. I just think that, I wouldn't like to see more regulation. We need less regulation. The market will figure these kind of things out. Bad companies will go away. I'm sure somebody will get caught in the middle. But the guy that does this isn't going to abide by the law anyway. Right. He's going to text you no matter what. He needs to make sure it happens.
Until he gets fined 60,000 euro.
Then he fires the person anyway, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's true. If you an at-will state and they don't do it and it's like the thing, you can fire them anyway, right? Unless it somehow becomes like protected.
Yeah.
Which I don't see happening.
That's never happening in America.
Not even close. Oh.
It's also a two-way street. If it's protected, then they can restrict your right to move and those kind of things. And so I like the freedom of you can do whatever you want on both sides of it, both sides of the arrangement.
I will say I did once work 103-hour week when I was at Disney World. I have the pay.
1 week?
1 week. I have the pay stub to prove it.
Okay.
And the cool thing was I started out the week on overtime because it wasn't 8 hours from my previous shift. Like it hadn't been 8 hours. And so I started the week on overtime and then I went like 16 hours of just like time and a half. And then the rest of that was all double time. Like
wow.
The entire paycheck. And so I kept that pay stub.
Do they have cots at Disney? Do you sleep somewhere or how does that work?
Yeah, I feel like because it was we were doing grad nights. So like the graduating seniors would come via busload and we'd like help get them into the park. And then while they were in the park, we had some downtime. And then when they come out, and I remember like I hated the Backstreet Boys at this time. And I could hear from Magic Kingdom like every single night, Backstreet's back, all right, like because they were actually performing like at Magic Kingdom.
That's funny.
And I was just like, I hate them. But anyway, that's my 100. But it was a lot of work. So somebody's saying they regularly work like 80 hours, like BS, buddy, BS.
I think you're like a line item somewhere, Sarah, on a spreadsheet at Disney that was like, latest Disney Plus flop show, negative something, and then Disney's Sarah's overtime, negative. They're still trying to work that back. They're still trying to recover from that.
25 years later. 25 years later.
So it seems like AI is reaching its peak. And do you know how I know AI is reaching its peak? Because AI grandmas are a thing. So Virgin O2, which is a cell phone carrier in the UK, has launched an AI grandma named, by the way, Daisy, Daisy. Daisy.
Perfect. Perfect.
Such a cheesy name. But basically, this is an AI voice bot that can answer phone calls from scammers with the intention of wasting their time. I love this. So this actually got some help from a guy called Jim Browning, by the way, who, if you've never checked out his YouTube channel, go check out his YouTube channel. He doesn't have a lot of content on there. He doesn't post a lot, but he's one of these guys who basically scams the scammers or outs the scammers. He's the guy who basically hacked into the internal security cameras in the scam call center and called them up and basically watched them answer the phones and then said, hey, what about so-and-so to your left? And like, he really freaked them out. It's one of the greatest videos ever.
Yeah. Like,
he's so good at it.
There's another like scamming the scammer YouTuber that I follow that's great. Like, he'll take over their computer and like get their webcam and like show exactly like what the scammer's doing. It's so good.
So he had some input on this. Obviously, how the AI would interact with the scammer, basically with the intention of trying to make them talk longer and longer and longer. There is a video you can go watch. I will link it in the description. You can go watch it. It's on YouTube, and it basically is a demo of Daisy talking back to some scammers, and it's so good because she goes off on tangents talking about her cat and like she's talking about like, play stupid about. So it's 3 W's then a dot. Yeah. Like, it's so good. Like, it's so good the way that it works. It's genius. So basically, what happens here is O2 set up a bunch of phone numbers that they're hoping to get on scammers' call lists. So the scammers actually just is calling Daisy. They're calling this number that O2's just set up as a honeypot, basically. And Daisy answers and basically just chats with them for 45 minutes, an hour, with just the intention of just wasting their time. So while they're talking to AI Daisy over here, they're not talking to you. And the great thing about this is they can make, probably thousands, tens of thousands even of phone numbers. Oh, yeah. They own the network, so they can do that. They can run AI Grandma as many iterations as they like. Yeah. This might be the greatest thing ever. I think there's a point, there might be so many of these that they might end up on non-scammers call list. You're trying to call back the doctor or something, you get AI Daisy on the end, you know? I think regular people are going to end up like talking to her at some point. It's kind of crazy. So I think this is the greatest use of AI yet. What do you guys think?
I like it. I think it's a more advanced honeypot. I think it'll get more sophisticated. They're just doing the wasting the time thing. I think they're going to like get them to involve themselves in fraudulent transactions, and they'll know how to track them backwards. That
would be awesome.
That would be amazing. Wouldn't it? Like even take the honeypot even further to make them do something illegal, so that they can get them. That would be amazing. They
can track them backwards that way more, or give them to reveal information. This kind of things. So I think it's a good use of it. It's kind of cool. It's funny. Someone needs to stop these phone scammers. But in general, I got some tips for people. If you're on the phone and they ask you to pay with a gift card, hang up.
No legitimate person is asking you to pay with a gift card. That's just
right.
We've actually had some of these recently, haven't we? We've had some of these. Like, have been like, hey, Bobby needs to get a gift card. Can you get that for him?
Yeah.
Like, who's this? Like, no, this has happened to us recently.
Yeah. So like, you need to pay without a gift cards. In general, the IRS will never call you pretty much.
They'll send you letters.
Microsoft definitely will never call you. So like all the large tech companies will never call you to ask you for things. They don't offer customer support in general. Apple will never call you, those kind of things. And then if you do get a call and you think it's legit, hang up. And then go to the website, find a legit number, and call back in. That's the other thing you can do. Don't give their number to give you to call them back. Hey, what's your number? I'll call you back. They'll just give you the scam number, but like then you call back in to see what it is. But in general, never pay anything for anything right there on the moment. Even if you do owe money and they call you and say, hey, pay me right now, or we're going to take your house. You're like, I'm not going to pay you right now. I'll send it, I'll figure that out later tomorrow.
I'll call you back.
Yeah. I'll send it out some way. You need to send me an invoice or something like that, or I can go pay in person or whatever it is. But in general, you don't pay with gift cards. I think that's how they're getting most of them. You don't pay anything with a wire transfer. There's no reason to use a wire transfer for anything really, except for a legitimate consumer business requirement. And you're working with someone overseas and you know that ahead of time. Right. But to pay a bill or to settle your tax debt, this kind of stuff, the sheriff isn't coming down.
I was just going to say the local police department is not calling you about your warrant that you have.
Yeah.
They're not having it.
They're going to show up on your doorstep for that warrant if you have one.
Yeah, they will. And then you'll know when they're there.
They won't let you know they're coming.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the kind of things, and I do worry about, it seems like they do attack seniors more than anything. So I think this is great that they even leaned into that. Like, hey, let's just
because it makes it more legitimate, doesn't it? It's like the person at the other end is going to be like, oh yes, this is the kind of person I need to speak to. Daisy, you don't know what the www means. Oh, this is going to be awesome. It's so good. I'm wondering too if you know what I would like. I want an AI to actually answer my phone.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Well, I was going to say if I see the because my phone will pop up like, potential scam or like potential spam or whatever like that.
Yes.
I want a button that says send them to Daisy. Like
100%.
Right.
So in the new Pixel, the new Pixel has this. You can turn it on, and like the Pixel will come in and it'll listen to your phone call if you turn it on, which is kind of weird.
But it doesn't have an AI though, right? That
it listens to it, and then it'll give you an alert on your phone that says this is a scam call. We've listened to it. But you can see where they could take it one step further and say, transfer this call, and you transfer it to the spam.
Yeah.
holder.
Yeah. I just want it to go to I want an AI to answer it when it says that. Yeah. Or if they call me and I don't even need to know about it.
Right.
Just like, if
it says potential spam,
I'm okay with just like my phone never ringing and it goes straight to AI Daisy.
Right.
Like I'm good with that.
And that's the other thing too that I tell people all the time is never answer your phone unless it's a known number.
Yeah.
And then even sometimes, my parents get mad at me. Why don't you answer your phone? I'm like, I never answer it.
Yeah.
If it's important, leave me a voicemail. I'll call you right back.
Yeah.
But in general, I never answer my phone. I get too many of these spam calls.
Yeah.
And it's always, and if it's important to leave a voicemail, if you don't leave a voicemail, then I'm not going to call you back, even if it is mom.
Yep.
Tell me what you want.
Yeah. I want to actually have I want to have an app, not just I don't want just AI grandma here, because that's one version. Yeah. I think we should be able to set customized versions. I want to train my own one.
I want an AI baby.
Yeah, exactly. I can pick it and it's tailored to me, where it's maybe it's an AI version of me that even answers.
Sure.
And then it tries to do something with the person. That could be super interesting.
Yeah. You could answer the phone. Yeah, my wife handles that. Let me transfer it to you and let her pick up the phone here. Okay. And it's just super rude person.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you have multiple AI. They're AI agents, and they just keep passing the call back and forth. It'd be so good. Actually, I don't deal with that. Let me transfer you to somebody who does. Hold on. Because that's what when you call a company, that's what happens a lot of times. So let's do that in reverse.
I love it.
It'd be so good.
So
you think super rude wife would be a good AI along with Granny Amos?
There's loads of these that could be good. Yeah.
What did he do? What did he do?
Small child who refuses to hand over to parents.
Exactly. I like that one too.
It'd be so good.
You could have a background AI yelling at the kid, hey, give me the phone. No, Mom.
Yes, I think there's an app here. I think if the carriers don't do it, I want to set it up on my phone and just have it do that for me.
Where's Paul when we need him?
Yes.
He's ready to create
this. Does sound like something up his alley, doesn't it? I agree.
Right?
I think you would like this.
I think we're onto something, though. We've got all the personas ready to go.
Okay, one of my tenets in life when I talk to prospective people coming to Coder Foundry is I do believe in the next 10 years, someone's going to create something that you didn't know you need, but you have to have. Moonwalkers is not that.
I was just going to say, are you sure this is it? Because I'm not convinced. Yeah, I'm with you on that. This is not it.
So Shift Robotics made these. They're roller skates, people. I mean, we've seen this since the 50s. They're roller skates, and they're trying to put some AI on it. So they attach some AI to do some gate mechanics or whatever. It can detect the pressure and go up or down and go fast or slow. But what's funny about this is the original model is loud. It's 70 decibels. So I looked up what is 70 decibels, and that is a dishwasher in your house running, or a washing machine running is 70 decibels. Can you imagine you're just walking around the house in these things and you got a pair of dishwashers on your feet or something like that? So is this something that you have to have, Kevin, Sarah? What do you think? You want some moonwalkers? Oh, by the way, they're $1,000 a pair. So
that's what got me. These Aero ones were $1,300 or something. Yeah. They were, I was like, geez.
Yeah, they're a little bit quieter. So, a little muffler. So got a little muffler on them. So but you can walk 3 times as fast. So, kind of crazy, right? They do show them working on steps, which I can't imagine. I could be wrong that works very well.
So hold on. Have you tried these, Sarah?
Yes. They were.
What?
So I'm assuming it's CES.
Yes.
So how were they?
So
other than weird, surely.
Yeah. So when I was there, I'm like, I play roller derby, right? So I was like, oh, interesting, roller skates, right? Because this was at the press event, and I'm like, okay, you got to tell me what this is all about. And what was interesting is they were not really selling to consumers what their market was, and I didn't even. It's not in their marketing here or anything, but this is what they told me specifically was for warehouses like Amazon and things like that. And I'm like, oh, I can see the value there. Not for walking down the street.
Yeah, but they're showing people walking down the street.
That's what I'm saying.
Stuff here.
The promo is not what they were saying to us at CES. They were specifically talking about how it's good for warehouses and big places like that where you need to get across the warehouse faster for your job, not to get to work. Like, because that was my thought too. I was like, no, like this is not gonna be something I'm gonna buy for just like walking around town. Like, you've heard of Heelys, right? Like,
yeah, they were Heelys,
right?
Yeah.
Like this is already a thing. I can buy legit roller skates for way cheaper.
Yes, rollerblades,
right? Rollerblades, yeah. So like, I don't see a purpose for this in like regular day-to-day work, but I can definitely see a benefit for a warehouse.
But do you know what the battery life on it is? 1 hour.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, which makes it useless for Amazon employees. What are they going to do? Take 8 pairs with them?
So, Sarah works 103 hours a week. So, like,
regularly,
she's going to need 103 pairs of these to switch them out to keep her going in Disney. So that's kind of what it is.
I was just looking to see where the battery life was. That's what it is, an hour?
An hour.
I don't remember them saying that at CES either, but...
Of course not. It's
now,
like
I want to comment on the marketing when you roll through these taglines. Were just like, you scroll down there, it says "Be brilliant," it's things like that. It was just really funny. Like if you say "Learn more" in any one of those things, and they'll show you like their highlights. I thought that was kind of funny.
See,
like they're really selling it hard, man. Like like okay, yeah, I'm not buying
never
these.
taking off. Yeah.
The other thing that I think realistically, this is a flat platform that you sit your foot on, and yes, you are strapped in. But this is a turned ankle waiting to happen, man. If you've ever turned your ankle playing basketball, it's not because the shoe turns over; it's because your foot turns over inside of the shoe, and I can just see that happening in these things. But
yeah.
So having used these, then Sarah, is this one of those things that does it take skill, or is it just very, very, very easy?
No, so the problem was we were on a carpeted floor, and so it did not work at all.
Oh, jeez. Well, okay.
So you need the knobbies. You didn't have the knobby tire attachment, so
And they explained it too. They're like, so like that. And that's when they were talking about like warehouse. This is like built for like warehouses and stuff because like you can see like even the guy that was wearing them right now, like demonstrating them, is not walking anywhere.
Yeah.
Like
if the first hurdle is carpeted floor, that's pretty bad, right? I mean. Yeah. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, like, and then you can see in all these big promotional videos, like nothing is on carpet; it's all like pavement and stuff.
I wonder how many they've sold and who bought them.
That's... 0 and nobody.
I do wonder because it is interesting, right? It feels like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting. The AI aspect of it is just
what's AI about it?
It does gait analysis to see your gait, stuff like that.
So does my Garmin watch.
Yeah.
Like,
it does seem kind of strange. They don't talk about the AI a lot in their marketing either, which makes me think it's kind of like, quick, just throw the AI on it. So
yeah, exactly.
It's got
That's
AI.
what it feels like. Yeah. Now with AI, like, okay.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But this isn't the next killer product. I can promise you that. And this is going the way of Rabbit 1.
This sold less than that. Yeah. I guarantee it. This sold way less than that.
What was that AI like speaker thing that we talked about the other day? Like,
yeah, that's the other one, right?
Now the one thing, if you want to look at a mobility option that is electric, that has taken off, you may not have seen is e-bikes. E-bikes have taken off like storms. So if you like ride cycling like I do, and you're out on the trail, and you're thinking you're really fast, and then some grandma passes you on the trail, you're like, how's that happening? It's because it's a motorized e-bike. Yeah. Expensive, like a specialized e-bike's around $8,000, but it does go, hundreds and hundreds of miles on a single charge. It can go 40 miles an hour. It's almost like a electric motorcycle at this point. I do see that being a kind of like a moped, but electric.
Yeah. Well,
definitely better than moonwalkers. So,
well, what's even better than moonwalkers too is that product that we talked about a little bit ago that was like the exoskeleton kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That beneficial, like from a mobility standpoint. Like this, like you said, it's like a twisted ankle waiting to happen.
It is. It's bad.
By the way, Sarah, they claim rugged all-terrain.
Just not carpet. not carpet.
Not including carpet.
They've enhanced it since CS.
It has been 11 months. So like they but it really does. Powerful, rugged, all-terrain, outdoor capable. Like, just don't. Not carpet.
No, it's not.
Just don't use it indoors. It's fine. It's totally for outdoors.
But $1,200 look, I'm gonna buy some. So
Well, obviously.
You can buy them. At least they're not vaporware. It's not like the latest release of OpenAI.
No, this is true. You can buy them.
Well, it's not vaporware. I've literally seen them in person. Like,
yeah, it's a real product.
yeah.
But I'd say if you're in the market for something to assist you in moving and you have a hard time moving and you need to, like, I think an e-bike's the way to go.
Yeah.
It's way more stable, a lot more practical, a lot more functional than this, you know.
This is not the way.
Also, too, like, what is it with all the people in the ads wearing white socks? I thought white socks were out.
No, White Sox are in.
White socks are in now?
White Sox are in.
Okay. So I'm in dad mode. I'm always one thing behind, you know, like when black socks are out, I'm wearing them. And now the white socks are in, I'm wearing black socks. So I don't know.
Yep.
I can't ever catch up.
There's a whole debate about sock height too, by the way.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
talk about that at some point. There's a very strong debate about sock height.
What is the
I don't know. Don't ask me what the consensus is. I have no idea. I just know there's a debate over it.
So ankle socks are out now? Is that what it is?
Well,
I'm pretty
these
sure.
guys don't have ankle socks, so maybe.
They don't. They've got push downs.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm pretty sure
We're
this is the
going
trend
that
right
way.
here.
Yeah. I like back to CES. They had a girl there. I don't know if you've seen the Netflix show Selling Sunset. But it's like these super fancy pants, like gorgeous girls that are selling these like millions and millions of dollar homes. And one of them was at this like press event at CES, and I got like a picture with her. And I thought I looked pretty like cute and fashionable, but like when you put me next to her, I am 40-year-old mom. That is what I am.
You should have put her in these. That'd have brought her down a bit.
Right.
Should have brought her down a
Bring
bit.
them down a peg. But yeah, so don't come to me with fashion questions. I've got 45-year-old mom fashion.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe these are going to be trendy. Maybe they're totally impractical, totally useless, can't go on carpet, but they're going to be the thing that every kid wants for Christmas.
Yeah, for
You know,
$1,200.
I think the one wheel's better. Like the one wheel thing is better. You know,
the Heelys.
kind of like the board, the Heely, but the one big board with the big fat wheel on
Oh.
it.
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better. I forget what that thing's called.
I think it is called a one wheel, isn't it?
I think it is.
I think it's called a one wheel. Didn't that get like
At least
some
it's
crazy
not
safety
stupid
recall?
hoverboard, because
And it's $1,900 one wheel.
$1,900?
Well, it's about the same price as the stupid shoes.
Dang.
And it actually is all wheeled. I mean, it can go anywhere with that big,
Sure.
thick, rugged tire there, man.
Yeah.
It's ready to roll.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A little bit harder to carry around, a little bit more clunky, I guess, you know.
I think
but
more skill.
I
to
don't
ride
know.
this too.
definitely more skill.
Those wheelie shoes are pretty fat. I'm just
Pretty
saying.
hefty.
Just saying. Like,
It's not
if
like just
this-
packing another pair of shoes in your bag.
No, it is not. That is like significant to lug around just like that.
Okay, well, that's it for this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast. Thanks for sticking around until the end. A couple of things I could ask you to do. Please let a friend know about the podcast. That would be amazing. Please leave us a rating and a review wherever you listen to or watch the podcast. You can also, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can drop us a like and you can subscribe to get notifications for all future episodes. And you can also drop us an email if you want to communicate with us. Where can they send that email to, Sarah?
I think it's the Not Null Podcast at AOL.com.
You can also drop us a text at the link in the description below, and we will see everybody next week.
In the digital age where scammers play, there's a hero rising in a clever way. With a gentle voice and a knowing smile, she turns the tables, makes it all worthwhile. Daisy, Daisy, wasting scammers' time with her stories and her endless chime. Daisy, Daisy, AI sweet design, keeping fraudsters on the line. She talks of knitting and her lemon pie, while the scammers wonder why. Every question met with a gentle laugh, leading them down a winding path. Daisy, Daisy, wasting scammers' time with her stories and her endless chime. Daisy, Daisy, AI sweet design, keeping fraudsters on the line. She talks of knitting and her lemon pie, while the scammers wonder why. Every question met with a gentle laugh, leading them down a winding path. Daisy, Daisy, wasting scammers' time with her stories and her endless chime. Daisy, Daisy, AI sweet design, keeping fraudsters on the line. In a world where trust is hard to find, Daisy stands to guard the line, turning tech against deceit, making sure the scams defeat. Daisy, Daisy, wasting scammers' time with her stories and her endless chime. Daisy, Daisy, AI sweet design, keeping fraudsters on the line. So here's to Daisy, our AI friend. On her we can depend, turning tables, making it right, keeping scammers up all night.